Hi, everyone. This is Kelly Donahue-Piro here with a great podcast today for Clevenger Insurance in Warsaw, Indiana. You're going to hear that because there are two Clevenger Insurances out there. This is Gina and Joe Clevenger, a longtime client of Agency Performance Partners. They allowed us to tear apart their agency and really build it back up and build a culture of their dreams. So listen to these two as they take on the world. In addition, today is January 15th, and we're launching our new course on how to reduce remarketing while increasing retention. Gina and Joe Clevenger have been longtime students in our online school, and they'll talk a little bit about how they use our trainings in their team meetings. But without further ado, let me bring on our ridiculously amazing guests, Gina and Joe Clevenger. All right, well, ridiculously amazing agent podcast listeners, this is Kelly Donahue-Piro, your host, and I'm here with long-term friends and clients, the Clevenger Insurance Group out of the wonderful state of Indiana. And we have a husband and wife team here today. So I don't want to do the honors. I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves. Joe, would you like to go first?
Sure. I'm Joe Clevenger. I'm in Warsaw, Indiana. Well, Gina and I both are in Warsaw, Indiana. Husband and wife team. I started in the agency back in 2006, and then we purchased my father out in 2017. So Gina and I have been running the show since then.
Well, Dad, here still comes to the office and makes some renewal review calls every now and again, right?
He does. He still stops in from time to time when he's not in Florida. Harasses the staff a little bit, and we still use him for the insurance advice when we need him.
Good, good. And then there's the better half, right, Joe?
That is Gina. She's the boss. She calls herself the boss babe. So
It looks like,
she runs the show. I just sit on the sidelines.
are you being mom boss, babe?
What up, guys? Yeah, I'm being mom. I'm wearing the hat of being mom, dog owner, daughter, granddaughter, worker, employee benefits, everything. But my favorite role is working at Clevenger Insurance with my husband. I do more of the employee benefits and the sales, and more of the what I call the dirty work in the business. Joe works on the business, has all the great ideas, and then he passes them along to us. And then we have to use consultants like your firm to make sure we execute them in a very efficient and streamlined manner so our staff doesn't kill us with all the different ideas that we have.
Well, you're still standing, so that must mean that you're doing a pretty good job at it. So I do want to say this to all of our listeners. These two actually have a pretty cool podcast as well. So if you're looking for some different content, and it's funny because this podcast will air in January, and I interviewed Vanessa Kimball, who also works with her husband. So I feel like January is the husband and wife insurance agency owner team. Maybe we can give it an unofficial month. But do you guys want to just tell our listeners a little bit about your podcast, see if we can get some people interested in what you guys are up to?
Sure. I'll let Gina do the honor. She's the one that came up with the idea, so I'll let her speak on that.
Well, one of my life goals is to be more vulnerable and to teach people about myself other than outside Clevenger Insurance. Because while I love what I do, I feel like people feel like I'm robotic, and sometimes I bleed Clevenger Insurance so much. I wanted the world to know me other than Clevenger Insurance. So I thought, maybe we'll start a podcast about our kids or working from home. But like the only thing that really stuck with me was husband and wife working together, because throughout the years, Joe and I have met so many insurance agency owners, and very rarely were they husband and wife. And if they were husband and wife, did they get along and or they were happy in the relationship? And so we are not perfect in our relationship, but I feel like we've had some advantages and we've had some lessons that were taught to us early on that we want to share with other businesses who are working together, whether it's husband, wife, brother, sister, dad and son, because the fact of the matter is, like, small family businesses kind of run the world. And there's not a lot of help, not a lot of advice. You don't know who to turn to because it's such a taboo topic to talk about your husband or your dad when they're your boss and the owner. So we created it. It's called Richer or Poorer, and what the title emphasizes is that we're going to be together, whether we're rich or poor, in good times and in bad, in business and in our marriage. So it is a marriage therapy / business consulting podcast.
And I'd throw in there that it's not insurance specific. Just being in this industry, in the insurance industry, we work with a lot of business owners, and we do run into the husband and wife team. So it's more business overall, not just husband and wife, insurance agency owners. So it's for everybody.
It's absolutely a funny podcast. You will cry, laugh. I'm a personal listener. So definitely everyone check it out. So we are on an insurance podcast. So I've got to pick your brains of where do you see the independent insurance business going in the next few years? So you guys have a long runway here in insurance, unless someone offers you $1 bajillion to come sell out and you guys go retire to Bora Bora on one of those huts, which hopefully you'll remember me fondly and invite me. But, you guys have a long haul in the insurance space. Where do you guys see it going? Where is the agency gearing up for, as far in respect to where this industry is going?
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit on it. I know Gina will probably have her opinions. The industry as a whole, I think, is going to start moving away from, my opinion, is going to start moving away from the private passenger auto. We're going to have to start focusing more on home and commercial products to drive our business. I think with autonomous vehicles starting to make more of a push into our market, we'll start seeing auto rates change drastically. I don't think it's going to happen anything within the next 5 to 10 years, but I would say it'll happen sooner than we all think, and then we're going to all wonder why the insurance industry changed so much. And I'd like to be more ahead of it than looking back, going, "Geez, we're losing millions of dollars from personal auto and commercial auto. How do we make up for that premium?" So my take is that the industry is going to start moving, or we should start moving more commercially and focus more on commercial products and providing those. I also think our industry, which has already been big with it, is more data driven and driving more data in our decision making and even our communication with our carriers. I think in the past we've used the carrier's data to make our decisions, and sometimes that's flawed. We just had that discussion with our team this morning, and how looking at carrier data, we're a month behind than what the actual data that we should be looking at. And so making sure our management systems are up to date and the data that we're putting in there is accurate is huge. And once we start getting better data from our management system, we can make better decisions as a whole, as a company, moving forward. But I'll let Gina speak a little bit because I could go on for hours on this.
Yeah, so as you can see, Joe is the visionary. He's the big picture, the perspective. And, I think my idea of where the independent insurance agency is going aligns with Joe, but it is more probably on the side of, because I'm in the day-to-day grind. And I think the first thing is what we see happening is that insurance companies, it doesn't even really matter if you're an insurance independent agency, but companies are starting to have to focus on client experience versus customer service. And client experience is where, you leave an impact, where they're constantly talking about you. We have to create fans. We have to have a base of people that are going to help us row the boat and spread the word for us. Because the reality of the situation is that any business, especially independent insurance, we could technically be nationwide with the technology that we have at our hands. So if we create that experience, we can really have a greater ripple effect on our growth and our retention, having a proactive approach versus just waiting for the phone to ring. And I think the last thing that I've seen, where do I see the independent insurance agency going, is I see out with the old, in with the new. I feel like it's an older industry. And so what Joe's talking about, the data, the IT, there's a core group of insurance professionals. I don't know as many as you two know, but I feel like you guys are going to be catalysts and pioneers in the new insurance world, because we're going to change the landscape of insurance, because there's the average insurance agency owner is like 68. And so I feel like we need to step up as the younger generation and change the experience in insurance. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of turnover, there's going to be a lot of new owners, and there's going to be a lot of fresh ideas. And it really excites me to know that insurance is going to be more colorful than stale. And insurance, like, what do people think when they think insurance? Like, we want them to get excited.
Sure. So let's say this. What is the biggest challenge that your agency is working on tackling right
Not including COVID.
now? We'll keep this a COVID-free discussion because we're not in control of that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, for us, it's, we struggled with commercial and how to manage that for a long time. And this year we've taken more of a step back and are starting to build our commercial processes out better. The other side of it is we also aren't doing a ton with automation and how that can help. I'm diving into this really in depth with Nick James, who's a friend, and he does builds out automations on it. And when we're diving into it, it's talking about how can we make this process better for our staff and the client experience. We do a lot of the retention calls that you put in place, and our staff will sometimes jam those into a 1 or 2 days, and then they get all of these calls that flood in at the end of the week, and they're swamped with them. So Nick and I, when we sat down and talked, our goal is to try to automate some of that to where people are either clicking a link in a text message or an email and scheduling out times in advance so that our staff has a better schedule and their day flows a lot better than, hey, constantly interrupted on, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday with people calling back in. They were doing an auto change and now all of a sudden someone calls in and they're trying to do a review. It can get very distracting. So I think just building our automations out so that the processes flow a lot better and relieve that stress on our staff will be huge for us in 2021.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I think a lot of times we underestimate how complicated an account manager's day can be. Like the work itself isn't overly complicated. Sometimes it can be, but it's just like, hey, I have a reshop and I have a new piece of business on my desk. What do I do? Like they're constantly having to make decisions on what's the most important. And when you can take some of that off and just say, here's the next thing you do, and automation can help just deliver the next thing to do, it's really a kind of a game changer and a lot less stressful of an environment.
Oh, I agree completely. That's why, we're going to tackle it, and hopefully 2021 will relieve them of a little of that stress. Cause I can just see it here in the office, when they're in the middle of a quote or something, they're like, hey, this person called in and wants a retention, wants to do their retention call. And, they scurry over to the call and fumble through it. So I think this will hopefully help in the future. I don't know.
Well,
Gina, I'm sure, has her opinions.
I was going to say, you also bring up an interesting point, like COVID, not that we want to talk about the C word here as much as possible, but there's nowhere where you can go without an appointment now. Right? Like, yeah, like walk in, yes, but like even like telemedicine, you just don't call up and be like, see me now. Like even if you go to Chick-fil-A, you expect to wait a little bit in line. And in insurance, sometimes I think we're almost like overly available whenever anybody needs us, and we don't have in place some of that, like the structure that other businesses do. Like I tell the story, I went to Bank of America to open another checking account and they sent me away because they didn't have an appointment. And I'm like, it's Bank of America. And they explained it really well. They're like, well, it takes about 45 minutes and you've got 2 people ahead of you. And so it doesn't make sense for you to wait there. And here, let's schedule the appointment and get it done. And I was actually grateful versus sitting in the lobby for that long. Right. But I think insurance agencies really need to adapt that mentality of we need to get better at time and appointments and some boundaries with clients to really make everything work, because you can't over service one client and then under service another client because you were so busy.
We don't like that word. We're not allowed to use busy in our office.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious, Kelly, do you think agencies should be appointment only? Like use this COVID as a get out of jail free card? I mean, most of them already are, but I mean, should they just stick with it?
I do think that we have a huge opportunity. I think that every agency's got different scenarios, right? Like there's some states where you have to take cash payments. Like I would love to get rid of cash payments, but there's some states where you have to take,
Oh, heck yeah.
so it's like, it's great to say, hey, here's the deal. But I think you really have to look into it. Like I talked to an agency today and they have basically a book of business that is very low auto limits, and they come in and they pay with cash, and they sit there for a half hour every month and talk with the agent, and that's 6 hours a year per client just to take payments. I think we have to be critically thinking about what's the best use of time for the client and our team. But when someone walks in and just wants everything right now, no one's prepared. And I don't think it's a bad thing to say, hey, I need a little time to prepare for this. What time this afternoon can I call you, or do you want to come back by? I just think it honors everybody's time a lot more. And honestly, I think sometimes you got to look at what's walking in. Is that really the highest quality business that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I just know.
I mean,
I was gonna say, I just know from being in here, even with COVID, it's I'm not digging on the older generation, but that's who's coming in our doors, and these are the people that are most susceptible to having huge, like long term or death from COVID. And it's kind of like, hey, you can call in and have the same conversation that you just had with us. So, when we've been closed, I think those conversations have been better on the phone, and I'm seeing less traffic, especially from the younger generations than I am from the older. They still want to come in and have that face-to-face talk.
I think what frustrates people the most is phone tag, right? So it's like, your account manager team calls somebody, leave a voicemail, they call back, they're on the phone. Now all of a sudden it's just irritating, where it's like, let's just end it and talk at 2.
Well, exactly what you guys are talking about, the instant gratification per se from the client perspective, I feel like that's been our bigger challenge. I wrote it down as instant gratification with the team and seeing the results and the processes and the vision and the things that Joe has set up to streamline efficiencies, to streamline higher revenue, to streamline retention. I feel like, again, working more so in the business than on the business, I feel like that has been my biggest struggle, is getting the team to believe that instant gratification isn't going to happen overnight. And if we do this process consistently, intentionally, it's going to pay off, but it's not going to happen because we make renewal calls one day a week, or because we feel like it today, or because it's on our desk. Like there has to be a formal process, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, so they can follow it, so they know what the expectations are, but then letting them have the expectation that it may not be instant. It may take time to kind of cultivate that environment that we're looking for.
Well, and I think too, the team gets scared about having an uncomfortable conversation with somebody that's been used to one way of doing business. And now you want me to tell so-and-so that he needs an appointment.
That's very true.
I just feel like 2020 is like the year to get out of jail free. Like anything you want to change, you can blame it on COVID. Like you want to go to the doctor to get acne medicine, blame it on 2020. You want to get a new piercing, blame it on 2020. You want to call people who haven't paid their premium, blame it on 2020. So I'm just saying, like, we got to shift our perspective. Like, that's how I feel. Like, everyone has to adapt. It's just the way we're adapting. And the beauty of it is nobody knows what the answer is. So nobody can judge us on the outcome because we're trying new things.
Well, I like what you said there too, because it's just like, I think all of it, like even going to the grocery store is different, right? You've got the arrows, you got to figure out. We're all sort of like fish out of water. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And up by us, like the restrictions are changing like every day. Like we don't know, like what the deal is. So it's a good time to do that, because I do feel like we're all a little rattled. So why not reset expectations now before we get more into a new routine?
Yeah, so I feel like doing nothing is far more worse because we have every opportunity. We're being given grace to fail right now with COVID. So I feel like any business that's scared to make the change, this is the time to do it instead of like sit on your hands.
So what would you guys say to that agency owner that's hearing this right now and is like, take appointments, don't take cash? What are you talking about? Because I through some of that transition and there was some, nervousness a little bit about it over time, right? Like, what if we don't do this? What if we don't do everything the way maybe your dad did it, right? Like he was successful and didn't do bad things, but now you guys are in charge. Do you have any big moments where you thought like, wow, we're really breaking right here and I hope it works?
Two things, and then I'll let Joe talk. Spin it the other way. What if we keep taking payments in-house? How is this affecting us? And then do the Joe Clevenger, what's the worst that can happen if we stop taking payments? Our whole book of business isn't going to run off overnight. Okay, well, then let's dial it back. We have 50 renewals this month. The worst that could happen is every single person non-renews. But out of those 50, only 3 make payments. So the odds are that 1 could cancel. So I think you got to monetize it, but then you also have to like look at the other side. Well, what if we keep doing this? So that's my input. Joe?
I mean, our staff realize how much I hate. I mean, I hate doing the bank runs and putting it all together and counting the money and going through it. And then I got to do it on the back end with accounting. And it just, once you start adding up the time, we're just one deposit could be an hour and a half to 2 hours. And, what's my time worth? Is it worth what it would be $10 an hour, or is it worth $150 an hour? And once you start realizing, geez, I'm burning hours of the day that I could be out selling new business or talking with, current clients that are generating revenue or referral partners, those that generate revenue, and I'm spending an hour or 2 a week doing these mundane tasks that I could pay somebody $10 to do, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So
Yeah.
we would lose more money doing that.
When you're an owner of an independent insurance agency, like you are getting paid to lead your team. You are the captain of the ship, and you are encouraging them and empowering them to help you grow and to help you retain. When you're not leading them and you're not building processes and you're not building a vision and you're depositing checks and you're processing payments and you're taking notes in the management system, there's no difference. There's going to be no growth is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to say it without sounding like I'm trying to make it like there's a hierarchy, but my point is like our role as the boss is to lead the team.
But I mean, even on the other side of it is I don't want our staff processing $80 payment for Betty because she doesn't want to mail a check into the carrier.
True.
And now we're making $8 on that transaction, and it takes them 30 minutes, or they sit there for 45 minutes wanting to chat. And so now I've paid, the $80 payment, which I'm making $8 on. I'm losing money on it because I'm not paying my staff $8 an hour. So, I don't want them to do it either. It's not profitable in the long run. And yeah, it's nice to have those interactions, and it's nice to talk to the customers from time to time. I know that's an excuse a lot of us make is I want to be able to talk to my clients. Well, do it at the retention call, do it during an accident, do it when something's changed in their life, not at the time of collecting $8 from
Not when
Betty.
they walk in with their dirty cash and then you've got to change.
Yeah, and you can experiment with it. Like I would challenge any business owner to say, okay, for 1 hour this week, instead of taking payments per day, I want you to do this, whether it's just call somebody in chat or try to upsell an umbrella or invest in your retention calls or call for a birthday wish, something that's not transactional, and again, more about like the experience.
No, I think that that's all really, really, good points for agency owners. And so I know you guys have worked really hard on the culture of the agency. And I want to dive into this because I kind of feel like I feel like it's hard to describe culture to people. It's kind of like describing being married if you've never been married. It's like it's very hard until you experience either good leadership or culture. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about what you have done on the culture side to say, hey, these are the humans we want to be around all the time? and what
I
have
think
you done to your
I'll let Joe talk in detail, but I think to sum it up, what we tell people in interviews is we don't want you to need to work here. We want you to want to work here. And same for us as the employer. I mean, it's backwards for the employer. We need you to work here versus want you to work here because we want to hire people that are smarter than us. But I don't think that's the direction you're looking to go in. So Joe can talk about some of the things that we do culturally that really you've helped us set up and initiate with our core values and mission and all things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say our culture has changed drastically over the last 12 months. You would have asked me this question a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, it would have been a different story. But we've, taken your advice. We've had to let go a lot of people that when we did acquisitions that just didn't meet our core values, and you helped us set those up from day one, and our mission statement, and those are things that we preach constantly, like these are our core values. And when somebody does something good, hey, you met core value number 2 or number 3, and we reinforce those core values into our team, so when they're making decisions throughout the day, they're referring back to our core values as a reason why we do it. We have, win, 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 customer wins, we win, carrier wins, community wins. Those are huge things. And, our staff recently went through and said, hey, we're going to make sure people have higher limits on uninsured motorists here because we feel that's something that we need to provide for our clients. That's yeah, and it's a core value that, we're trying to help them, we're trying to help the community. If they are in an accident, there's things that they refer back to. And I think just emphasizing our core values has helped a lot, and just hiring people that fit that our core values and fit our culture as people that, want to go out and help in the community, want to be part of something bigger. This isn't about me. This isn't about Gina. This is about, the whole team here. So, if he would have asked me that a year ago, I would have been like, our culture sucks, sorry, but it's just not that good. And we focused really hard on that to improve it. So, and thank you, Kelly, for helping a lot on that.
Well, I feel like
and another
hard work for sure.
Well, another thing that you did is, people are happier when they know what they're supposed to do. And that's something that Joe and I had to dig deep with Kelly. She basically had to lock us in a room and help us formulate job descriptions that were measurable. Because again, like everything ties back to our performance. Like whether we like it or not, we're in business to be profitable. So that's where Kelly really helped us dial down titles, job description, metrics, performance standards, agency standards, so everyone knew what to expect. So it was no surprise if you called the team member that week and say, hey, you had three things to do this week and you did 0. What is going on? Versus you can call somebody out easily that way if they know what the expectation is. But if they don't know what the expectation, coaching, mentoring, being a boss is super hard because it's like 2 different worlds trying to be in the same place. Like they see 2 different things, 2 different visions. Everyone's got to be on the same page. So, and that's something that APP, Kelly did for us that we can't ever repay you for. And we're still evolving with it because you always need somebody to help you with that because now social media is evolving and now COVID's evolving. So we always need Kelly in our back pocket so we can evolve those positions and still be competitive in the independent world.
I also think that it was Joe that held me hostage in the basement of the coffee shop. Like, I'm not sure that I want to help clarify that a little bit. I think that was the other way around. But Have you heard? Agency Performance Partners has a new website and mission to make agencies ridiculously amazing. Our 3-minute videos have moved to social media with a weekly recap via email and a weekly mashup on our podcast. But if you need a daily dose, check out our social media channels in the show notes. We are on a mission in 2021, and I'm leading the charge to help making agencies ridiculously amazing. Curious what that entails? Let me share it with you. Ridiculously amazing insurance agents outlast the suck of change. They enthusiastically try, and they're never busy, but they're always productive. They never email a quote without a conversation. They're consistently proactive, not reactive, and they remember to slow down in order to speed up. They don't make sales a dirty word, and they're Tiggers and reject that Eeyore mentality. They're not intimidated by having a conversation about rate, and they're an educator that uses knowledge as the sword to fight against price. They also recognize the honor they have of protecting what people work hard for. You can take our 12-question quiz on our new website to see how ridiculously amazing your agency is. Need help? No worries. We have a course just for agency owners, or you can book a time with us to learn how we can partner with your agency. I do want to ask, because I know that you guys watch our online school and you have the team watch the videos. So, because I think with our online school, some people are like, well, how's the best way to use this? So I'm curious if you can just share like how you guys integrate that into the day-to-day operations.
That's all Gina. I step away from that stuff. I make her implement that. So
So we've done it two different ways. We have done it where we do a full training day and we tie in games and lunch and then, an intense series of Kelly's training with, you partner up with someone, you do the activities. But now with COVID, we have to, again, reshift our focus and reshift our workplace. And so we actually, every single Monday, again, credits to Kelly, she said, you have to meet every single week. When we started out, we were one location. We've had multiple locations over the years. She says, everybody has to be on the same page. You can set your annual goals, your quarterly goals, your monthly goals. You got to have weekly goals too. And part of that is meeting with the team on a weekly basis. So with the school, what we do is we show them Monday morning in the team so everyone can do it. And the key takeaway is everybody has an assignment after. No ifs, ands, or buts. You either have to role play on the Monday morning meeting call, or you have an assignment that's related to Kelly's school. So for example, if she's teaching you how to for and score, nobody wants to role play. Well, here's the alternative. You're going to take an account from your list this week and you're going to for and score it. You're going to record the call. You're going to document it and you're going to send it to me, Joe, and your leader. And we're going to tell you 3 amazing things you did and 3 things you need to work on. So there has to be a follow-up action. Otherwise, everyone's going to be sitting on the call, rolling their eyes, eating their coffee or drinking their coffee. Like they don't really give a care. They don't care. You got to make it so they have a reason to do it. And then to take it a step further is everyone's got to be motivated by something. So I don't know how this idea came up. I don't know if it was Joe and Kelly at a seminar or what, but we do the Wheel of Marvelous Things.
It was Billy Wagner. Sorry, it was Billy Wagner.
Yeah, we just had a thing, educational thing, and it was every week how to turn a call into an opportunity. So what we did is not just that they have assignments, if they turned a call into an opportunity, they had an upsell for an umbrella, we quoted their life insurance, we updated their contact, they got a review, or they gave us a 5-star review, they gave us a referral. I mean, think about all the things you can get on one phone call. They get to stick their name on a popsicle stick in a jar, and every 2 weeks we draw a name, and it's the Wheel of Marvelous Things. And this is what defines our culture. On there is $100, $200, a half a day PTO, world's largest Rice Krispie treat, world's largest lollipop, a month's worth of free chocolate. Joe and Gina win is one. So there's all these wild things. And let me tell you, girl, they are competitive with these popsicle sticks because they want to win. Like this, we have a new hire. She's been on board with us for like 4 weeks, and she's won 3 out of the 4 weeks, and each time she's won a minimum of $100. So on like every call, she's like, can I have a review? Can I have a referral? Like just trying to pump it out.
Positive reinforcement. Well, I I love what you said there, because I want you guys to rewind back to old culture. If you did of fun with old culture and old staff members with grumpy face, how would that have gone?
Not well.
Again,
was-
do they need to be there or do they want to be there? If they needed to be there, they wouldn't have cared. If they wanted to be there, they would have.
So I think but that's the thing I want other agencies to hear, is that if you're looking like, listen, if I bring out the wheel of fun to my staff, they're gonna, what is you need to like slap yourself across the face and be like, this is the problem, is that you have to go back and really align your team with the people that can support your mission and culture and values first. And you can train them the insurance stuff, you can keep training people second. But if you have people that are, we call them Eeyores, if you've got Eeyores on your team, you're just never going to go far and you're going to burn yourself out.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, why wouldn't you want to enjoy work? And why wouldn't you have fun? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you say no to having fun in a contest and being involved in something great? I mean,
because that's how they live their whole life.
Or Eeyores.
Well,
they don't go home and like let loose and be like, I'm so fun at home. No, it's, and
maybe they do. Maybe they do. But again, if they're doing that, it's because they need the job. They don't want the job. They're just doing it 8 to 5, clocking in, clocking out. That's not the world we live in now if you want to grow your independent agency, because we have so much competition. It's got to be an experience. When that client hangs up the phone, they got to have that warm, fuzzy feeling in their stomach. Like, damn, they were good.
Well, and I know you guys have an incentive program in place, at least that we had worked on, of getting a little bit like, hey guys, if we all row together, and I know just like any incentive program, that's more of a long-term thing, not the popsicle sticks. In the beginning, it was a little rocky, right? Everyone's like, what is this? Can we do it? I don't know if we can, right? And then,
well, because they said I'm a CSR, I'm not a producer, but then we redefined the roles and the job descriptions, and they were.
Yeah, I guess most people would call a CSR, ours are probably hybrids compared to what a lot of people like a producer versus CSR. And I think a lot of that, what you brought it up, which was to our attention when we first met with you, is we just didn't want to have producers for personal lines. The main reason why is it costs a lot to get a producer up and going, and then you have CSRs that are doing the back end stuff. And to me, it wasn't as profitable as having our CSRs do the sales. And we had one really good CSR for a long time, that I shouldn't say CSR, our hybrid CSR, and she was very good in sales. But if I were to tell her, hey, we're going to make you a sales or sales or producer, she would have quit that day. Like, I'm done, not doing it anymore, because she's like, I don't want to do sales. But once we told her, well, really, it's not sales. You're just getting a quote and you're helping them out. This is more helping the client or the potential client with their insurance needs. That's what they want. They just want somebody to help them. And it kind of changed her mind. It was like, oh yeah, I'm just helping them out. If you were to ask her, hey, what, you're doing quotes, are you selling? No, I'm just helping them out. They're just calling in for quotes and I just help them. So it's kind of redefined. We kind of redefined our CSRs so that they could be producers as well. And, they're not salespeople. Like if you looked at when we test them, they are scoring terrible on sales. But once we start telling them, well, you're just helping people, you're providing a quote, you're getting them adequate coverage because they don't have it now. You're making sure that their things are covered, from jewelry to guns to whatever. Now it's like, well, I'm helping this person. I'm not selling them anything. And it kind of changed their whole world from a sales perspective.
it's amazing how the S word gets such a bad rap. It's like,
it does.
I laugh. I'm like, if you don't think your team is salespeople, have someone call in and try to reduce coverage. Usually they go into like full on beast mode of, oh no, you're not reducing the coverage. Not happening. I'm like, they go deep. But you say, can you sell an umbrella? Oh, I don't know if I can do that today. I think keeping a customer is harder than selling a new customer. and keeping them happy for a long time is a hard job.
Absolutely.
It's very hard. It's very hard. And I think, as agency owners, we assume how our team is going to react to a performance bonus or to a new process instead of just asking them. So like something that you did, I don't even think that we still do it, is when we started with you, you did like this crazy survey and you're like, don't worry. When you read it, you're going to want to punch yourself in the face because nobody ever says anything nice about you. So it's basically like an assessment of like what your team thinks about you, where you could do better, like how they know when you're mad, is it open door, closed policy. So what we did is we still do the performance metrics, but every 6 months we send out an anonymous survey and we ask them like what they're driven by. Okay, we're going to set this bonus metric up, but do you want the prize to be a half a day of PTO? Do you want it to be a team event? Do you want it to be money? And you would be surprised, like most of the time it's not money. Most of the time it's like, if you have the right culture, it's a team building activity, or it's like a family dinner, like, with Joe and I and with the spouse and their family. We can still tie money into it. But again, I think measuring what do they want to be motivated by and using Kelly's survey to your advantage, because we just assume we think we know what they feel, but it's probably the exact opposite. And they probably want more structure. It's like a kid, right? Like kids hate bedtime, kids hate rules, but they really do love it. And I know that. They thrive in rules and they thrive in structure. Same thing with a business.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you just our kids, like even this weekend we were up, it was like 8 o'clock and one of them comes up and like, Dad, I'm tired, because they're used to going to bed at like 7. Dad, I'm tired. I think I'm just going to go to bed. I'm like, go ahead.
Yes.
Great. I didn't even have to yell to get you there. Does it only took an extra hour and you were tired? Okay. Same with employees.
Just gotta get them to flush the toilet now. That's the big one.
Oh Lord.
So one of the
But you get what I'm saying. Like with the performance, you gotta put something in front of their face that they're motivated by.
One of the things I think, on a scale of like 1 to 5, how hard was it working through all of the changes that we recommended?
I won't say that it's easy. I'd give it like a 3 or a 4. And the main reason, it's not like hard from a standpoint, and I'll say it's not hard from the standpoint of like the process is hard. Process is the easy part. Once you put it in place and you tell us like, this is the way you do it, this is how it's supposed to be done. It's enforcing that into our employees. I shouldn't say enforcing, but reiterating that to our employees, the importance of it, and making sure that they're following through on their end. And then the other side of it was that once we started these processes, we had, when we bought my dad, the agency for my dad, we had, I think 6 or 7 people, and we ended up retaining like 1. So, we started holding them accountable. We started putting these things in place and the process in place, and they didn't like it. So they quit. And so then we were rehiring and retraining these whole process, and then we acquire another business, and the whole process kind of started over. So I think, for us, it was difficult because the staff we had in place prior to you putting, the retention calls and, all of those things into place weren't on board with it when we were. And so we had to have the turnover to get the people in place so that it works. Now, if we do a new employee, it's seamless. It's like, for me, I shouldn't speak because Gina does this, but for me, it's like a 1.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably like a
I
2.
Send them a spreadsheet. I send them a spreadsheet with all Kelly's videos as the retention training programs, part of their 2-day onboarding. They have assignments they have to do. Turning every call into an opportunity. That was super easy with our team. But it goes back to the team, and that's what made it hard for us, because we didn't have the right team. And sometimes when you go through this, most of the times you go through this, you're going to find people that aren't a fit for your agency, and you have to decide between past and future, and you have to decide in staying stagnant and being mediocre, or rising above and trying to be the best version of the agency you can be. And you've got to take a risk. Like independent insurance agents are business owners. We are risk takers, but we also assess risk. And if you're in business, you probably are risk adverse. And what I'm trying to say is, I guess, that what do you have to lose by giving it a shot?
What would you have rated it, Gina? I'm just curious.
Okay, so right now, 1 to 5, 5 being the easiest.
The hardest.
Or okay, 5. So okay, right now I would rate it a 1 because we have the team buy-in. Prior, I think it was probably a 4 because I knew in my heart the team members that weren't going to work out, and I wasn't true to myself. And I let Kelly do the training on those team members to kind of let them self-scale instead of just ripping the Band-Aid off and saying, you know what, before we start this, we're going to make sure we have the right team. Like Kelly can't change somebody's character. Kelly can't change someone for who they are. So you really got to look at that. If they have a character flaw, if they're Eeyore, they're probably Eeyore.
Yeah, I'm
So
sorry, Kelly.
Accept that.
I throw your name out there a lot. I've talked to a couple owners and they're like, well, I got this one team member. I just don't feel like she's going to buy in. I was like, then it's probably not the right team member, which means you need to hire Kelly because they'll be walking out the door within a month or 2.
Well,
Kelly, do you know what I'm saying? Like when people hire you, they believe you're going to like spread the Red Sea and make magic. And you are with the right team. But I feel like agency owners know who isn't going to work out and they still,
I know
try to push.
I get there because we've already had 17 conversations about the same 2-3 people.
Are you talking about for us or everybody?
It doesn't matter. Like it's universal. It's like, well, there's gonna be this one person. Like, all right, what's her name? What's his name?
Yeah.
But I also feel like if you look at it from the perspective of you guys learned such a valuable lesson through that of we're not gonna do that. And feel like if you didn't go through that pain of you guys trying harder than them, because that's really what it boils down to, is like you were working harder than them. Now you can spot it so quick and hit that button and know exactly what to do. Where I don't know if you guys were ready to just kind of rip the Band-Aid off. I think like you had bought the agency, I think 7 minutes before I got there. And so like, I was like, all right, plan A, we're going to reduce payroll.
Well, I can tell you, I spent, so before we hired Kelly, I was like Googling insurance consultants because I knew we were purchasing the agency and her name came up and I started digging further and was like, I think we're going to give this person a shot. So I had Gina's like, you're having some lady come in here and tell us. And I'm like, you need to talk to her. I think you're going to like her. And then Gina, I think we got on a call and she's like, oh, I really like her. I think she's going to do great.
And now we're best friends.
Now you're best friends.
I don't text.
Yeah, we're best friends. And, I think also in a business, you have the saver, the spender, the hoarder. And, when you hear the word consultant or outside advocate, such as agency performance partners, the person in the relationship that like doesn't watch the books is the one that's going to be scared to spend the money in the book. So like, Joe has a pulse on the accounting. He's like, we're fine. We can afford her, like our return on our investment. But I was like, whoa, she cost this much. Like, and I'm not trying to like call you out, but I do think that sometimes is a hurdle and a hard pill for agency owners to swallow because it's like, shit, I could buy consulting hours with Kelly or I can put a billboard up. What's the easier route? The easier route is the billboard. It's not Kelly. But the better return will be Kelly, not the billboard.
Well, and I also tell people, and I hope you guys feel this way, but like, we don't take on every agency because then I can't give everybody the attention that I think people deserve when they sign up. So I tend to be super hands-on with agencies. I don't tend to be super like, hey, I'll return your phone call in a week. Have a nice day. Like I tease Gina because I think one time I even like texted Joe, I'm like, is Gina okay? It's been 37 minutes and she has not responded to my email. Like you can email Gina Clevenger at like literally any time, 1:37 in the morning, and Gina will respond back somehow in 5 minutes. I think she's a robot. I haven't confirmed it yet. But I've literally reached out to Joe being like, is she okay? I have not heard back. What is her phone dead? What's up?
It's true.
So now we all know if I'm happy, I'm a difficult person to please. And if Kelly can please me, then she can probably please a lot of people.
I will say that, if insurance agents are throwing a fit about it, they need to look about like you taking on limited clients. I mean, we do the same thing. I mean, we don't want to insure everybody. There's some people that walk in the door and you're like, yeah, I think you need to go down the road to State Farm. That might be the best place for you.
Like me to call them. We can call them for them.
So, we're just as picky when we take on business. And if we aren't, or if you aren't, then you need to be, because you've probably got some people on the books that just don't fit your agency or are time suckers, and you need to get rid of them.
Well, and I've been doing it long enough. I know who we can help, and I know who maybe needs medication instead. I want to be respectful of your time. I know we're coming up on a deadline, but tell everybody where they can get your podcast if they've enjoyed listening to you guys today. Gina, where can everyone go get your podcast?
You can go to iTunes, and it's for richer or poorer. You can go to our Facebook page, Clevenger Insurance. There are 2 Clevenger Insurances. We are the Clevenger Insurance in Indiana. We are the Hoosiers. We are IU fans. We still are friends with Purdue, but we prefer IU. So Clevenger Insurance in Indiana, and it's all linked to our Facebook page and social media accounts on LinkedIn as well.
So check them out. And I know, Joe, you're really active in the independent insurance community at IAOA, different events. So some of you might have run into Joe. Hopefully there's an IAOA this year. I know we bumped it to April, but it'd be great.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So, well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for being good friends, clients, and, all of the above. So everyone have a great day, and hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Curious on how you can reduce remarketing in your agency without hurting retention? Well, every agency wants to grow, right? It's hard to get to cross-selling and improving coverage when we're stuck over remarketing accounts. But what almost no agency understands is how to effectively have a conversation with an insured about rate. It's not remarketing out of desperation. It's limiting remarkets to accounts you are prepared to reshop. You can turn a difficult conversation about rate into opportunity if your team has a plan and training to boost their confidence and learn how to handle communicating about insurance rates. Are you sick and tired of overhearing the phone calls in your agency where your team is offering up a reshop rather than reviewing the account with a client? Do you tell your team your expectations, but they take it more as a recommendation than a requirement? Your agency needs a different approach that engages the team and gives them a clear plan with expectations. Our new online course debuts January 15th, which will give your team a plan on how to handle discussions on rate that reduce remarketing and give your team confidence in working with a client to reduce those reshops and increase retention. Check out our newest course on January 15th at 33% off until February 1st, 2021. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed listening to Gina and Joe Clevenger. I do hope you go subscribe to the Richer or Poorer podcast. They are awesome to listen to, and they have great business advice if you are in a business with your partner. This has been another amazing podcast. We hope that you check out our new online school with our new course that's 33% off until February 1st, 2020. In case you're listening to this later on, sorry, you might be missing out, but we still do have that course on our website. Signing off here, hope that your agency is in the process of being ridiculously amazing.